Hello, this is Adam Bernard with AutoPerspectives, and welcome back to our weekly news roundup, wherein we'll look at some of the more interesting things that showed up over the past week or so in the auto industry. We will start with Audi's biggest SUV ever. Now, we know that traditional big SUVs like the Cadillac Escalade and the Lincoln Navigator make a lot of money, and more recently, BMW and Mercedes have gotten into the market with the X7 and the GLS, and Audi has decided they want a piece of the action. So their new entry, the Q9, is not only their biggest SUV, but it was also specifically developed to target the US market, where gas is still relatively cheap compared to the rest of the world, and long distance luxury travel is definitely a thing. It starts at about $89,000 with the SQ9 performance variant starting at about $119,000. So it is definitely Audi's most expensive SUV as well. It shares its platform and components with the recently updated Q7, and we'll show you a little comparison in a bit. It's 5.6 inches longer wheelbase, 9.9 inches longer overall, but surprisingly only about 160 pounds heavier, so kudos to Audi for managing the mass here. Notably, it's longer than a BMW or Mercedes, but not quite as tall, so interior space should be pretty close. Up front, you can see a somewhat different looking Audi face with a vertical bar grille with available illuminated vertical segments instead of kind of the hash grille or the hexagonal grille. And there's OLED running lights that can run different animations with the lower set headlamps with over 25,000 elements. Audi has been kind of out front in terms of lighting innovation, and the Q9 is definitely not an exception. Among the other features, power-assisted opening and closing doors, and you'll see fairly conventional door handles there, which fortunately will be legal in China. Wheel size up to 23 inches, appropriate for a vehicle of this scale. And around back, you can see the third generation OLED tail lamps with the world's first curved digital OLED panels. Now, in Europe, they, at the moment, get only one engine, which is the 3-liter mild hybrid turbo diesel, while the US gets a choice of a 3-liter turbocharged V6, or for the SQ9, the 4-liter turbocharged V8. Curiously, neither of the US models have any sort of electrification, not even a mild hybrid, while we do see that technology on many of its competitors. You do get a standard adaptive air suspension with adjustable ride height, and you can add hands-free, partial automated driving on approved highways up to 85 miles an hour, which uses both long-range radar and cameras. So no LiDAR, but again, it is only essentially level 2. So think of this as comparable to Super Cruise or Ford's Blue Cruise. If the interior looks familiar, it should, because it looks very, very similar to the Q7. It is a tri-screen layout, as we've seen with most recent Audis. It features French stitched leather on the dash and door tops and perforated leather seats. But if you're not fond of leather, you can get alpaca fiber, Dinamica microfiber, or leatherette blends. Audi also notes that rather than the shiny piano black type surfaces you see in a lot of other vehicles, the Q9 gets matte surfaces to reduce all those ugly fingerprints. The dynamic interaction light, which you can see here at the very top of the screen, spans the interior at the base of the windshield and will light up and animate to communicate various messages to the driver. There are pillar-mounted vents for both the second and third rows for added comfort, because this is a big vehicle you need to heat or cool. It does offer integrated Chat GPT and an optional integrated dash cam, and the available moonroof lighting projects onto the glass from the side, creates a variety of interesting color-changing patterns and 9 individually dimmable sections. So overall, this looks to be a pretty competitive vehicle. It doesn't really bring a lot in terms of first-in-class capability to the segment, aside from bringing the Audi badge here. So if you have a Q7 and it's not big enough and you want to move up, you now have a bigger vehicle to move into. Now, I mentioned the Q7 before, and you can see, and just to make sure you understand, it's a Q9 on the top row, the Q7 on the bottom row. And, sometimes automakers get accused of, it's one sausage, different lengths. That seems to be the case here. If you looked at an X7 versus an X5, I think you'd find some clearer delineation. And the same for a GLS versus a Mercedes GL8. But for whatever reason, Audi has gone this route. And by the way, there will be a new Q8 coming as well, kind of a coupe variant of the new Q7. From here, we'll go to the other end of the larger luxury SUV market, to the Mercedes GLA, their smallest SUV. This is the third generation, and it moves to the new MMA architecture, which is the new multi-energy architecture that underpins the CLA. It launched initially as an electric vehicle, replacing the EQA, but it will be followed by a mild hybrid variant which will share its powertrain hardware with its various siblings. The new GLA will compete, of course, with the Audi Q4 e-tron, the BMW X1 and iX1, and Volvo's EX40. As well as the EC40. Now, the EV picks up an illuminated grille with 608 polycarbonate light points, 158 micro LEDs, and as you can see, looks similar to the new kind of standard Mercedes grille that was launched with the C-Class and the GLC. It also features star-shaped running lights up front. The new GLA is longer, lower, and wider, with more room inside and up to 20-inch wheels. Horsepower range is anywhere from 221 up to 349, and yes, we can probably expect a much more powerful tri-motor AMG variant to follow. And batteries at the moment are 58 or 85 kilowatt hours, and there'll be another battery sliding in there in the next year or so. Maximum range works out to about 408 miles on the European cycle, or 367 on the EPA cycle, so near the top of its class and definitely competitive with Tesla. It is about 15% lighter than the lighter and sleeker CLA sedan, so you can see going from a sedan to an SUV, you do gain some mass, you do lose some aero. And like the CLA, this is an 800-volt architecture, which enables 320 kilowatt charging rates. And yes, the interior is similar, if not identical, to the CLA and the GLB. And this photo demonstrates what happens if you don't get that really fancy super screen, which is the 3 displays under a single pane of glass. What you do get is basically a large piece of plastic with a bunch of 3-pointed stars, which is, to some people, maybe looks a little cheap and maybe a little overwhelming from a branding logo standpoint. The interior trim options include natural grain woods, a brushed aluminum and anodized look finish, and an innovative natural fiber finish. There is an available Sky Control panoramic glass roof, which includes dimming capability, a 16-speaker Burmester 3D surround sound audio, a terrain drive program with a transparent hood, so you can see what's on the ground in front of you before you accidentally run into a rock, and MB Drive Assist Level 2 automated driving. So no big surprises here. Aside from the terrain drive, there's nothing here that you can't really get on a CLA. But it does now provide Mercedes with an updated entry-level SUV to take on the competitors in this part of the market. And as I mentioned, this is now part of the Mercedes entry-level luxury portfolio. Several years back, Mercedes announced plans to kind of cut down what they're doing at this end of the market and focus on the high end with higher margin and higher revenue vehicles. So we have the GLA, the CLA, and upper right, the GLB, and then the CLA shooting brake. There will be a new A-Class coming out in about 2 years as well. That vehicle was destined to die until Mercedes decided that maybe they do want a little more options at the low end of the market. So there will be a next-gen A-Class off this new MMA platform. From here, we'll go to something, well, frankly, really frivolous and ridiculous, which is an unusual melding here of sport and utility. This is the Rezvani Dune. If you have not heard of Rezvani, they are a California-based company founded in 2013 that builds high-performance vehicles based on donor models like the Ariel Atom from the UK and the Jeep Gladiator, among others. So they start with a base and then sort of add interesting visuals and technologies onto it. This Dune is basically a spiritual successor to the Porsche 911 Dakar and the Lamborghini Huracan Sterrato, which are unfortunately no longer in production. Both those vehicles were supercars with a little added off-road capability, and here they've turned the off-road capability up to 11. This vehicle starts as a Huracan, but adds a carbon fiber wide-body kit, functional hood heat extractors, reinforced bumpers, recovery hooks, and a roof-mounted snorkel. The power has been boosted from 602 horsepower on a standard Huracan Sterrato up to an even more impressive 800 horsepower. You also get a 4.5-inch suspension lift, which is pretty easy to see in these photos, underbody protection, and 20-inch wheels mounted on 31-inch mud terrain tires. The all-wheel drive includes modes for sand, mud, rock crawling, Baja driving, snow, and yes, daily road use if you need to pop on down to Starbucks. The interior is largely carried over from the Huracan, so I'm not showing it here, with some extra color and trim variations. Starting price not official yet, but likely to top north of $500,000. And we'll end with something speculative out of China from Chery. Chinese automakers have been expanding into the traditional body-on-frame pickup segment over the past several years, Most of these have been midsize vehicles like a Ford Ranger or Chevy Colorado, but also venturing into full-size entries, which of course is where the Detroit Three tend to make their money. Some recently released patent drawings show from Chery a new SUV-based, lifestyle-oriented crew cab that could take on the Ford Maverick and the Ram Rampage. And so the folks at Car Scoops here had someone render it up for us. It is a little less formal and upright than vehicles like the Maverick and the Rampage. In fact, it looks a little closer to the lifestyle-oriented Santa Cruz, which, curiously, is about to go out of production. If this vehicle hits market, and it seems likely given how the Chinese are rapidly expanding their portfolios, it's expected to target China, South America, South Africa, and Asia Pacific markets, and will likely include Chery's latest plug-in hybrid technology. That about wraps things up for the news at AutoPerspectives this week. If you like what you saw and heard, please subscribe and share. Visit AutoPerspectives.net to check out the blog and look for me on both LinkedIn and Substack. And I will see you back here next Monday. So long.